Hello and welcome to the showcase video of a game I'm working on right now. The game is called Kingdome Ragemore. Now, some of you that follow this channel probably know that a few years ago I managed to publish the little card game called Ragemore, and this is basically fleshing out that world that I made for the card game, and also I'm trying to make a single player game for it looks something close to open world soul like games like Elden Ring, for instance. So this here is a work in progress file that I imported in Tabletop Simulator. It's bare bones, so lots of stuff is missing, but some stuff is already like prepared, as you can see on this image. The things I need to add is more monsters and bosses. Once I do that, there'll be like play testing, as always, because in this game you can level up, so I need to see how that works. Is leveling actually good, or has some problems, and I will need to maybe scale some monsters levels, I mean their strengths and boss levels. Anyway, quick story. In Kingdome Ragemore, there was a king that always wanted more and more power. Eventually, he made some deals with eldritch gods, which gave him power, but also completely corrupted the kingdom. And now we're trying to set things up. We have to basically go to the land, gain access to the castle of Ragemore, and kill the king, and sever this link to these eldritch gods that are trying to come out into the world of Ragemore. So let's start with the map here, which basically is finished and all the tokens are finished. And if I flip this like in 3D, you can see there are some counters that are stuck onto each other. Okay, so Kingdome Ragemore is basically split into these little, like, it's one continent, but it's split into zones or lands, how they call here. And this is where we start. We start is in Izoran. This is our player token, and there is no like movement points in this game, anything. This is just so you know where you are at the moment. So this is where we start, but eventually you can move anywhere. Although some places are kind of locked, like this special zone, Ertera. Basically it's locked. There is a little token that tells us that. We're gonna need to find some way to get there. Our main quest is to get to this King Ragemore and kill him. He's like a big boss, which I didn't made yet, but I'm gonna do that eventually. There is a wall here that is guarded by this another boss, Artorian, and then you can enter the Ragemore. Eventually you will need to unlock this. Now this is open world. You can almost go anywhere you want. The problem is the world is scaled. So for instance, here the bosses shouldn't be too hard, but as you progress, the enemies and bosses are getting hard. So for instance, I can try to kill this Artorian and get to the Ragemore like right from the start if I want to do that. The problem is I'm probably gonna die trying with my current level. Alright, so as you can see, there are three things on the map. There are dungeons, a land itself, which is basically just open land. I think of it like Elden Ring, you can move around and you can fight enemies and stuff. There are also some sentinels, which when you kill, this is how you get these flasks, but I'm going to explain it later on. And as I said, you can go anywhere you want. The problem is you're going to probably die if you spread out too much from the basic area. Let's talk about the basic area and how is this stacked and what this means. So you see these numbers. So this is the land, and this number here tells us how many rounds of combat with enemies you're gonna have. And we have these little tokens. This is random basically. In each game, the bosses are set random. Some of them are already preset, like Valeria, Artorian, and King Ragemore. So you will always find them here. But the other bosses are actually randomly spread into these dungeons and these sentinels. They are all random. And just to show you that, let me show you. When you want to fight something, let's say I want to fight this sentinel, which is basically a mini boss, which once I remove him from a map, I'm gonna get one flask. And here, once I remove all these monsters, I'm gonna get some kind of a maybe gear or some item. There is a little chart here on which you roll. It's kind of random. So replayability is, you know, every time you set this word, you're gonna have a different word basically. So once let's say I want to fight this sentinel, you're gonna flip this and you're gonna see a number. This number is gonna tell you which sentinel to take. Now I only have one, so for the purpose of, you know, just to show you how the game works, I made only one of these sentinels right now. It's a Mountain Sentinel Osborne. So this is a card for the bosses, and this is a special card for the sentinels. If you flip this, you will see the back for the sentinels is like this. Back for the other bosses will be like this, with this crown. So this boss has a deck basically of cards he will use when you fight him. And there will be damage he deals and what kind of moves he performs and how he can react to those moves. But this boss heal will, whatever damage is in the cards, it adds +3. So that's his leveling. He has a 34 health, as you can see here on the top. On the bottom, you see a Roman number 3. This is the number of the boss, and there is a little number 3 besides that. This is how many attacks, basically how many cards from this deck each round you're gonna draw. And you will have to resolve them all. And then next round you do 3 more and 3 more. So some bosses will do like few attacks, like this guy. This is like a medium boss, so he's doing 3 attacks. Some will do only 2, these are easier bosses, and some will do 4. So the more cards they draw, more attacks they have, the more damage they can deal, and the more things you need to deal with. This boss also has some 2 special attacks. That's a Storm Axe and Lightning, and here they are. You can actually see how these little cards, these are like mini cards, these are tarot size cards. So if I want to fight this boss, I will have to take these 2 cards that comes with him and shuffle it inside here. Actually, I can show you this deck here. So this is a deck of things that boss gonna do. So standing still, combo attack, fumble attack, standing still, and so on and so on. Let me shuffle this so you can see other things. So there is a critical strikes, there are swift thrust, jump attack. So all kind of attacks the boss is gonna perform. And it's a game for itself, because fighting bosses is completely different than fighting these regular mobs and creatures that are in the land. When fighting a boss, it's more like a chess game. You need to wait where is the perfect moment to attack, or perform some kind of parry or block that can actually open up, ability for you to attack. Because these boss cards, let me show you here, have a haste and damage. Haste is basically how much speed he's going at you, and if you pass the haste, like if you are more faster than him, then you can hit him or avoid damage, or you can do other stuff. You'll see how that works when we do the example of the boss fight. Besides these bosses, which I need to draw, there are many bosses, there are these mobs, creatures, and these are decked for them, we have undead, knights, magicians, and I didn't name these, but these are beasts. We do that here. And beasts. There will also be a eldritch, but I have to draw those, of course, because everything you see here, it's basically me doing illustrations. I chosen to do the like old style tarot look of these cards, and you can see how that looks. So all the game kind of looks like it's made in 19th century, something like that, which I like this old style very much. So undead creatures, and so far there is only 4 of them, and then multiply by 3. Then we have some knights, some magicians, and all kind of beasts, and you'll see how that works. So this is for the mobs, when you basically wanna clear the land from them, and whenever you clear this stack, there is a little a prize in the end. So for the lands, you're gonna get some kind of an item. For the dungeons, well, let me show you how the dungeons look. They also have a stack with the mobs, but dungeon always ends with a boss. So this is a boss, and you flip it and you see which number of the boss you need to take the card. And then on the bottom is the loot, and then when you take the loot, you can also, as you can see, in this case, level up once. So killing the bosses will get you level and some loot, but before that you have to clear the dungeon, and this means you're gonna have this is the number of rounds, and this is the number of cards you're gonna draw. So basically, round number 1, 2 mobs gonna jump out, you deal with them. Round number 2, 2 mobs gonna jump out, you deal with them. Then you fight the boss, you deal with the boss, then you get an item, and then you level up. So that's how it is in these dungeons. Now you don't know how many mobs are before the boss, and it really depends. These numbers go from 2 to 4, so you can be overwhelmed with these mobs from the dungeons. And also each land has a little, you see this, it says U, K, and B, which means you can only use undead, knights, and beasts when you're in Azoran, while you're gonna use knights and eldritch when you manage to get to Ertera. So that's how it works. Basically, each land have different spread of beasts. You shuffle these cards together. Excuse me. You draw from them, and you deal with them. So that's that part. Now let's come to our hero. So I made for now just one class. It's a brigand, and I'm gonna play him in the explanation video when you're gonna see how everything works. His starting gear is short sword, a buckler, and 2 vitae flasks. So short sword, a buckler, and 2 vitae flasks. Once you use a flask, it's empty, and this vitae flask will replenish your health, while this umbra flask will replenish your mana, because you can use also magic. Now my character is not really good at magic. He has 4 mana, which he starts with, which you can upgrade later on, so maybe he could use some smaller magics, because magics use mana, and depending on the power of the magic is how many mana you're gonna have to spend. So this is like maybe a small magic to shoot some kind of a, missile or something. You also have these 2 tokens, which I use when you're fighting bosses. And this is your main board. This game uses dice. It uses 6 dice. It uses D4, a D6, D8, D10, D12, and D20. This is basically your attack and damage you can deal. And around this board, there are numbers on which you're gonna track your mana, your health, and stamina. So as you can see, I already set this up. My mana is 4, so 4 mana. My health is 12, and my stamina is 14. And also when you're fighting a boss, you have this token here, and when I'm gonna fight this boss, it's 34, so I already set it on 34 here. But some bosses can go all the way up to 60 later on. I mean, you better level up when you get there, or you have the perfect like execution of all your actions. These actions here I only use when you're fighting a boss. Normally when you're fighting mobs, you only have the attack. Basically, if you kill it, it's not gonna hit you back. That's how it works. And there are spaces here to write. You should laminate this little board so you can write with a dry eraser on it. So you don't have to, when you level up eventually, these are your stats right now, like starting stats, but they're gonna change. You can upgrade your health, your stamina, your mana, and that's why you're gonna have to write it here so you know where to set everything up as using this board. There is also a poise. Poise is not on the board here, but you're gonna write it here. Poise is basically how much damage you can take without losing health, like a passive block, So this guy has only 1 poise. So if something hits me for 5, I'm gonna take actually 4 damage. But you can also upgrade your poise using some armors, and that could help. Now, this is what you can do. You can parry. So successful parry will cause a stagger. You can actually stagger your boss. So these are only actions you're using on the boss. You can roll, typical roll in a soul-like game. A successful roll will negate damage from a boss card and give advantage to players. You will get advantage where you can actually be in a better position to attack without taking damage back. There is a block. Successful block will negate damage from a boss card. So basically you negate all or some damage. Well, really depends what you're using for blocking. For instance, you can block with a weapon or with a shield. When you're blocking with a weapon, you're gonna take half damage rounded up. Everything in this game is rounded up, so half the damage rounded up will still pass through the block with the weapon. But if you have some kind of a shield, it will block all damage. If it has the option to block, if you see here, like with my short sword, I have damage +1, and I can use it for blocking. But here, buckler is not actually used for blocking, it's used for parrying. So I cannot block with the buckler. I can block with my sword, but as I said, half the damage will pass. There are also 2 little, you can see, like spots under the image of a sword. This means I can upgrade this 2 times. And there are actually tokens for upgrade. I didn't add them yet. Basically, just put a token on the card so you know it's upgraded. And it's gonna, right now it's dealing +1 damage. So whatever damage I roll, +1. But once I upgrade it, depending on the number of tokens, depending on the level, that's how additional damage is going to be added. Right now, leveling is maxed to 4. I might change that to 5 or 6 as I play the game and I test something out. But this means that if I upgrade this short sword with one of those tokens, my damage will be 5. So +1 and upgrade, depending on the level 4, will be 5. So whatever I deal damage, it's going to deal 5 more. Which in this case means it can go all the way up to it's going to be 8, so all the way to 9. So this could be short sword dealing +9 damage, and you can only upgrade the part of the weapon that has already some kind of a plus. So I cannot upgrade my block. You may find a shield that says block +1 or block +2, and then you upgrade it, and then depending on the level, it's going to block even more. So what that deals is when you're blocking, you're adding that to your blocking test. You'll see how that works, and then you're going to pass test easier. You're going to block easier. Same thing here. This buckler can only be upgraded 1, so it can go up to parry plus 4, right? So actually it's going to be 5 because I already have plus 1, so it can help me up to parry later on much better. Anyway, how do you know what is the weapon, what is the shield, what is the armor? Well, weapons are only things that have a damage or block. Shields can only have parry or block, and armors only have poise. Okay, so that's how you know. So anything that has a damage, how it's called, warding with the damage, that's a weapon. Everything else is either a shield, and armor, since it cannot block on parry, it can only give you poise. It's an armor. So that's how you know. How many you can carry these things? Well, it is 2 hands plus whatever you get on yourself. So basically 3 of these cards. It's going to be 1 in card for the left hand one. So you could actually double wield weapons if you want to do that. It's going to be possible. But you can only carry 1 armor. Now armor could be not just like, you know, like a vest or something. It could be like a cap or helm. So that's it. Basically you will always see 3 cards here. And whenever you don't use something, you can stash it. So you can place it like this in your stash, keep it close, face down, or you can actually trade it for some items, and you can do that anytime. We'll see how that works. All right, what else I need to explain? I think that's about it for the items and stuff. In the next video you're gonna see an example of fighting the mobs in the open world or in the dungeon. We can actually go to the dungeon, and I'm also gonna show you a fight with the boss. So we're gonna have one video with just fighting mobs and then another video fighting the boss. In any case, as I said, I'm still working on it. Lots of things to, you know, make these items. I need to make lots of items. Some few more, how it's called, tokens. Like you can see here, there is an insight and hair, but these are 2 tokens that I need to add. And then later on you get a shield, weapon, magic, armor. Oh yeah, yes, I forgot there is also magic I need to add. Magic is quite simple. You can carry as many as you like. Basically there is no cap on the magic, but how much you can use per fight really depends on your mana and on these flasks. Because if you're a magic user, you're gonna probably have one of these Umbra flasks which replenish your mana. How much do they replenish? Well, depending on the level. You can actually see replenish multiplied by level. So leveling is for now it's basically D4, 4, basically 4. Which means if I level up my health, I'm gonna get 4 health. If I level my health again, I'm gonna get 4 more health, and so on and so on. So everything will be incremented by 4. Which means the flasks at the beginning you can actually, as you level up, your flask gonna level up. At the beginning, when you drink of, you know, these flasks, when you use them, you're gonna get either 4 health back or 4 mana back. But if you level 2, it's gonna be 8 back. If you level 3, it's gonna be 12, and so on and so on. So the more you level up, it's gonna be easier to heal, because it's not easy to get these flasks. And different classes will start with different number of flasks and different type of them. This guy only starts with this Vitaya flask. That's only for health. And how do you get more flasks? Well, you might find them with the roll, or you're gonna fight these sentinels. Every time you kill a sentinel, you're gonna get the flask. You can choose which one. It's gonna be health or for your mana, but not gonna be easy to get them. Alright, so that's it for now. I'm gonna make a second video and we're gonna fight some mobs. I'm gonna show you how that works. Well, at least some of them, because should be more variety as I add them more. This is just like bare bones, just what I drew so far. Alright, so thanks for watching, see you in the next video, and I hope you're gonna like this game. Goodbye.